Hi everyone. Today I'm going to discuss electrostatics, that is first unit of uh, 12th standard. So so what do you mean by electrostatics? So what do you understand by electrostatics? Actually, electrostatics basically means electron at rest. Electron basically signifies charge. So we can say charge at rest. So when we talk about charge, so the first name which comes in our mind, that is electron. Actually, if you think, is there any charge which has magnitude lesser than that of electrons? Yes. Actually, if we talk about charge, then it starts the study of quark. Quarks क्या होते हैं? They are basically fundamental constituent of matter. Fundamental constituent of matter. Initially जब ये दुनिया बनी तो सबसे पहले क्या था हमारे पास? इट वॉज क्वार्क. क्वार्क से दुनिया बनी, क्वार्क से चार्ज बना. और आज हम जब चार्ज की बात करते हैं तो हमारे मन में क्या आता है? इलेक्ट्रॉन. और सबसे छोटा चार्ज अगर हमसे पूछा जाए तो हमारे मन में आता है इलेक्ट्रॉन, क्योंकि इलेक्ट्रॉन से छोटा चार्ज पॉसिबल नहीं है. लेकिन सच क्या है? सच ये है कि इलेक्ट्रॉन से भी छोटे चार्ज पॉसिबल हैं, क्योंकि इनिशियली जब दुनिया बनी तो हमारे पास क्वार्क थे और क्वार्क पर जो चार्ज पाया गया था वो इलेक्ट्रॉनों के चार्ज से कम था. इस बात को हम अभी समझेंगे आगे. तो हम जरा देखें इस चीज को, कितने तरह के क्वार्क होते हैं और किस तरह से ये क्वार्क चार्ज को निर्मित करते हैं, न्यूक्लियस को बनाते हैं, एटम को बनाते हैं और फिर मॉलिक्यूल को बनाते हैं और जिससे ये सारी दुनिया बनती है. So let's come to the types of quark. Quark, जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, quarks are the fundamental constituent of matter. So they are categorized into 6 parts. The first one is up. The second one is down. Charm, strange, top, bottom. So these are the 6 type of quarks which were found in the universe initially, and most important quarks are here are up and down. So by using up and down we can formulate neutron, proton and finally nucleus. So let's understand what are the charges present over. So अप क्वार्क पर चार्ज होता है +2e/3 एंड डाउन पर -e/3. चार्म +2e/3, स्ट्रेंच -e/3, टॉप +2e/3 and bottom -e/3. So from here it is very clear that the charge on the quarks are found to be lesser than the charge of electron. Now the question is, how we can formulate proton and neutron by using these quarks. So here I explain. Suppose that we want to formulate proton. So proton has charge of +e, so that we better know. So we can formulate proton 2 into +2e/3 minus e/3, and that is basically +e. So this is how you can formulate proton, and similarly you can formulate neutron. So here we use 1 up quark and 2 down quark. So that is +2e/3 minus twice into e/3. so that is 0. So we can understand how proton and neutron are formulated, and by using proton and neutron we can form the nucleus. So in the early days, how it was happened? Actually, proton is stable, but neutron is very much unstable, and due to this instability, so neutron cannot form anything which can be stable. So neutron and proton combinedly forms nucleus, and that nucleus was quite stable, and it was used further in the formulation of atom. So further I'll explain how electron comes over and makes the atom. So here we have formed nucleus. So in the nucleus we have proton and neutron. So separately neutron is very much unstable and proton is also unstable, but somehow it is observed that its decay time is very large, so that's why we consider proton as a stable element, stable matter. So you can understand the proton and neutron combinedly forms a nucleus which is more stable than neutron, and if electrons revolve around the nucleus, it becomes neutral atom, it becomes zero charge entity, and that is most stable, you can say more stable than the nucleus. So this is atom. Here number of proton is equal to number of electrons. So number of protons are equal to number of electrons, and if you supply some energy, so what will happen? If you supply some energy, then electron will move out and there will be imbalance. So there will be imbalance that causes lackness of electrons, and we say that atom is charged with charge plus E. So actually if we understand the complete process, then we can understand that number of protons are equal here with the number of electrons. If one electron goes out, so number of protons are dominant, you can say one extra proton is available here. So whole atom is treated as a positively charged atom. So we say that charge is developed on the atom. So we can understand charge is nothing but the richness or lackness of the electron. So here we can say that charge is richness or lackness of electrons. So one thing is very clear, that charge is something which can be treated as the property of matter. When charge comes to the matter, so matter behaves in different manner. So behavior of matter changes. So charge is really very important, because a charged body behaves very differently than a neutral body. So there are some electrostatic repulsion, some electric forces are developed, some electric field, some magnetic field, some current. There are a lot of things which comes in the particle or which produces in future. When charge moves, it produces current or electromagnetic wave, like that. So there are several things which are produced when matter is charged. So it's important to understand what is charge. So when we start the lecture, I said electrostatics is the study of electron. And when we say that electron, it is basically charge. And when we say that charge, so we should understand what is charge. So let me explain. Charge is the property of matter by virtue of which matter can show the electrical effects like electrostatic attraction, electrostatic repulsion, electric field, magnetic field, and electric current, electric flux, electric potential, etc. So if we want to define the charge, then we can define charge is the property of matter by virtue of which matter can show electrical effects like electric repulsion, etc. So till now we have explained what is electrostatics and what is charge. So now the question is how we can charge a body. So how can we charge a body? It is so simple to understand. So if we can remove an electron from a body, then body is charged. If you can give one electron to a body, then body is charged. It is simple. But actually it's not so simple. But it's quite interesting. Sometimes when you use your comb and that comb can attract hairs or small tiny pieces of paper. So that is really very interesting. So today we will understand all these things. Till now we know what is charge. Now the question is how we can charge a body. Simply we want to discuss methods of charging. The first method is charging by friction. The first method is charging by friction. It is so simple. When you take a glass rod and rub to the silk, so you will see some electrostatic properties are developed in the rod. When you place rod close to the silk, it attracts. And if you create another rod in the similar type, and if you place these two rods close together, then they repel. It means some behavior is induced in it. So actually, you can understand this thing. This is a glass rod and this is silk. So if glass rod is rubbed with silk, then through friction energy, or you can say then due to energy produced in friction, electron of glass rod moves away and reaches to silk. and glass rod appear to be positively charged and silk negatively charged. So sometimes question comes in our mind, why glass rod? Why glass rod gives the electron to the silk? Why not silk can give the electron to the glass rod? Yes, it is simple to understand. The behavior of glass is, close to metal. Like metal can easily lose the electron. So here we have second method of charging, that is called as charging by contact. Means when two bodies are made in contact, so charge of one body is transferred to the another body. This is called as charging by contact. Here we have considered two spheres, identical spheres.